Hello and welcome to Sudoku API. My name's Jeff, I'm glad you're here. Let's just jump right in. In this short video, I'm going to show you how to use the web service function. We're going to call a Sudoku API and get the puzzle and related solution. Can't wait to show this to you. And stick around till exercise 3, because I'll show you how you can refresh this and get a new puzzle instantly. Let's start with the first exercise, exercise 1. So if I wanted to create a Sudoku puzzle in Excel, I might start by doing it manually. Like 1, like 2, like 3, and then leave some blanks, but you can imagine that will take forever. So then it's kind of like, what functions in Excel can create like a 9x9 grid? And the first thing that comes to mind is the sequence function. Equals sequence. We want 9 rows and 9 columns. Close the function and enter. Okay, great. Now we have a 9x9 grid, but like we still need the Sudoku numbers and blanks. And we need to make sure that all the rows, all the columns, and all the 3x3 grids use the numbers 1 through 9. So like, this isn't going to work. So why reinvent the wheel when we can just use an API? If you're not familiar with the idea of an API, the simplest way to think about it is it's like an Excel function because you call the function name and it returns some type of value. Now, it's a lot more involved than that, but that's kind of a simple way to think about it. And the good news is, with Excel, we can call an API using the web service function. So it looks like this, equals web service. And here we provide the URL. Now, rather than retype the URL, I'm just going to cruise up here and copy this one. And then I'm going to go equals web service, quote, paste everything, close quote, and close function. So we're passing it the API URL. And we hit enter. So it goes out to this web service and it brings back this text string, which represents a puzzle. So the difficulty level is easy. Here is the puzzle. And this is basically just left to right, top to bottom. And if I scroll over, we can also see that they provide the corresponding solution. Awesome. So once we have this puzzle, we basically need to get it into a puzzle format. And we're going to do that in the next exercise. But I also want to show you this other API. Let me cruise up here, copy this, equals web service, quote, paste everything, quote, close function, and enter. And this is what this API returns. New board grids, values, and so it just gives it to us in a little different format. Here there's brackets around each of the rows. So we could use either of these to get the puzzle and the solution. For the purposes of this video, we're going to parse this first one. I think they're both about the same level of difficulty, but I had to pick one, so I'm going to pick the first one. So let's go ahead and figure out the formulas that we need to use to extract this puzzle and display it in a grid. We'll do that in the next exercise, exercise 2. So there's several different functions that we're going to use. So we're going to take them step by step so logically it's easy to understand. And then in the final exercise, we'll combine them all into a single formula. The first one is to call the API. So once again, we're going to use the web service function, quote, I'm going to paste in the API, paste everything, quote, close function, and enter. And that returns the string. Now, if we look at this, what we need to do is we need to find the very first digit of the puzzle. There's a few different ways to do that. Here, I'm just going to use the find function. And I'm going to go equals find, and I'm going to go, what do I want to find? Well, I want to find the word puzzle in the text returned here. I'm going to start at the first position. Close function and enter. This is saying that the word puzzle starts at the 23rd character within that string. And that's not going to get us exactly where we need to be, but it's a good starting place. So now let's try to get the puzzle string. For that, we're going to use the mid function. Equals mid. So we want to get the middle of what string? Well, it's the string that was returned here in D6. Comma, what's the starting number? Well, for now, we'll use the value returned by the find function, even though we're going to have to tweak it a little bit. And then the number of characters. Well, how many number of characters are there? It's a 9x9 grid. There's 81. Close function and enter. We got close, but we need to adjust this a little bit. Instead of starting exactly where the word puzzle is found, we want to add some numbers to get to the first digit. So we're going to say, instead of starting at 23, we need to add P-U-Z-Z-L-E, quote, colon, and quote. I think that's 9. So we'll try that. Plus 9, enter. And let's just make sure it worked. 006, 006. Okay, so we got it. Now we need to lay this out in a 9x9 grid. For that, we're going to use the mid function again with the sequence function. Let's go equals sequence. And we want a 9 by 9 grid. Close function and enter. So visualize this for a moment. We have the numbers 1 through 9 and then 10 all the way down to 81. So what we're going to do is we're going to tell the mid function to get the first, the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth character, and so on. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, go get the mid from which text? Well, from the text here in D8. What starting number? It's the starting numbers of the sequence function. And how many characters do we want? We want 1. So close function and enter. And now we replace the sequence number with the actual puzzle number. And finally, what we need to do is we need to suppress these zeros. So we can clean this up by using the substitute function. So we're going to say substitute within that whole puzzle the old text of 0 and replace it with a double quote. That's an empty string. Close function and enter. And now we're looking pretty good. Kind of the next steps we need to do is we need to format it. We need to combine all of these independent formulas into a single formula, and then we need to generate the solution as well. So let's go to the next exercise, exercise 3. All right, in this exercise, we're going to combine the formula, apply some formatting, and talk about how to refresh it. So the first thing is to call the API. So we'll use the web service function again, paste the results, paste everything, close quote, close function, enter. Okay, now I could parse this using some kind of mega formula, like equals, substitute, mid, sequence, but that gets a little difficult to troubleshoot and maintain. So instead, we're going to stay organized with the let function. Equals let. Here, we assign name value pairs that are available within the scope of this function. So we're going to say that the name API is equal to the value in B5. Now we're going to go step by step, so I want to return this by using the word API, close function, and enter. And that looks like it works. Okay, so now let's take the next step. I'm going to use Alt-Enter here so I get a new name value pair for each row. So the next thing is to find the puzzle start. So I'll use the name start, and it is going to refer to, we'll use the find function to find the word puzzle within the API text starting at character 1. Close function, and I remember I needed to add, was it 9? I think so. Comma, and let's return that just to make sure it works. So we're going to return the start value. Close function and enter. We get 32, and that feels about right. Okay, cruise back over here, Alt-Enter, and now we're going to get the puzzle string. So you can pick any name you want. I'm going to pick string, and we got that by using the mid function. And the text is API. The start num is our start value, which we calculated, for 81 characters. Close function. Now let's just return this out to see that it's working. String, close function, enter. Okay, that's looking good. Cruise over here, Alt-Enter. Now we need to lay this out. So you can pick any name you want. I'm going to use layout, comma. All right, and we did that by using the mid function, and we'll get the mid of string starting at, and we use the sequence function to build a 9 by 9 grid. Close function, comma, and we want to return 1 character. Close function, and let's return this layout, close function, and enter. Okay, that's looking pretty good. And the final step was to clean this. So let's go ahead and Alt-Enter, clean, comma, substitute, and we want to take the layout text, and we want to take any zeros it finds and replace them with an empty string. Close function, and let's return that with clean, close function, enter. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now what we'll do is we're just going to copy this whole entire formula, and we're going to paste it here. Okay, but instead of looking for puzzle, we're going to look for the word solution. And I think the word solution is longer than puzzle, so we might need to adjust this 9 a little bit. Let's hit enter. Okay, and it looks like we need to add 2 more. So let's cruise back here and change that 9 to 11, enter. Okay, and if I spot check that, that looks about right. Cool. So now it's just about formatting. So let's grab this, and let's grab this, And let's go with all borders. And then we'll just go 3 and we'll go thick outside. Okay. Now let's grab all this. We're going to center, and we need to change the row height. So I'm going to select all this stuff, and I'll go to Cells, Format, Row Height, and we'll set this to 40. And maybe we'll increase the font size a little bit, and same with our solution. And let me actually zoom this out a little bit so it's a little easier to see. There we go. Okay, so how do we refresh this? Well, if we go to Formulas and we click Calculate Now, nothing seems to happen. And that's because we're using the web service function. So instead of using F9, what we're going to do is Control-Alt F9. There we go. And that'll cause the web service function to update and all the dependent formulas to update as well. So anytime we want a new puzzle, Control-Alt F9 and got it with the corresponding solution below. So that's an example of how we can use the web service function to call an API, and then how to use a series of formulas to extract and format the values from that returned API string as desired. Hopefully this has been helpful. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day. Hey Excel user, if you ever need to create summary reports, check out my Pivot Table for Beginners video. It starts at the beginning and shows how to store the data transactions in a table and then how to summarize those transactions with a pivot table report. I hope it helps unlock the incredible power of pivot tables.
This video is a production of Excel University.